Welcome to the Yoga and Podcast. This show is a celebration for the hardworking people in the mind-body community who are being of service and are contributing to the world in creative and innovative ways. Thank you for all that you do. I'm your host, Ashley Weber, a yoga and embodiment teacher who is living and learning every day in beautiful Austin, Texas, and I am so curious about all things yoga and. Today, we will explore the subject of yoga and the essence of a healing community. I'm especially excited about this episode, in particularly because we will have back on the show Chris Isom. We will follow up with Chris from his last interview with us, since he has now opened his own studio, Everybody Studios, in Austin, Texas. We will also discuss all about the unity within the community, what that means exactly, as well as the yoga culture and why it might need some healing. I know you will appreciate this conversation just as much as I did, so let's sit back, relax, and enjoy the episode, y'all. Joining us on today's episode is previous guest on the show. Check out episode number 36, Yoga and Everybody, when you get a chance. He is yoga teacher, entrepreneur, and owner of Everybody Studios in Austin, Texas. Chris Isom. Chris, how are you?
You know what? As we were talking before we got on, I got this. I guess you can call it yoga brain going on right now, to where I'm. First of all, it's a pretty day outside, so that's number one. That's good vibes. But like I was telling you earlier, I was in Shavasana earlier, one of our teachers teaching class at the studio, and I just kind of fell asleep. Well, I would say I was in between the wake cycle and sleep cycle. So somewhere in between, that's where I was. And it took me until the end of class to finally wake up and be like, oh, man, how long have I been here? So I'm in that mindset right now, but it's good. I'm at peace. I'm feeling good. Like I said, it's beautiful weather. We're on this podcast with you, so I can't complain.
Yeah, and that, what you said, that's just a testament to yoga right there, that relaxed state, that yoga brain.
Mm-hmm.
Would you care to introduce yourself a little bit more? Tell me who you are, what you're about, even further.
You know what? The funny thing is I'm still trying to figure out who I am in totality. And isn't that the journey? No, obviously, as you introduced, my name is Chris Isom. Owner of Everybody Studios, ATX, here in Austin, Texas. Of course, I've been telling people all the time I've been doing movement for over 30 years, and that's kind of giving a little bit of my age there. But I'm 36, and parents and family put us in sports when we were 5. And so who would have thought that over 30 years later, you'll still be in the realm of fitness, wellness, movement, and things of that nature. And it's just coming from East Texas. We're originally from Beaumont, Texas, which is about 15 minutes from the Louisiana border. And then also graduated in a small town called Newton, Texas. And it's a very, very small population of like 1,800 people in that town. So when you're in a country town such as that, you don't have much to do but get grounded in nature, because you're in the country, right? There's nothing left to do. And I tell people all the time, man, a lot of us, when you get a lot of money, you hear some people when they become millionaires, they buy a home in off somewhere in nature or some type of resort island. But we kind of grew up in nature. You know what I mean? If I want to go out in nature and really get deeply grounded and rooted, I'll just go home. You know what I mean? And when I say home, back to my mom and my dad's house. So I think that kind of speaks to who I am as far as being a very devoted family person. I don't have kids or anything like that, but definitely when I think family, my mom, my dad, my brothers, my sisters, deeply family oriented. And then thus being a twin brother myself, like I tell people, I've come in the womb with somebody else. All I know is sharing space. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think that's why I'm so big on community, because it's like, you know what I mean? I don't know this world without it. Yeah. Or without being a part of a team and being, professional sports and most of my life. And so yeah, that kind of speaks to me. And being in Austin, you have an eclectic blend of different people and that you see all the time, and just being able to explore that, not only explore other people, but explore yourself in this city. And once again, a country boy, everything is pretty much cookie cutter by, old school. And just exploring myself being here for 10 years, it's a lot I've learned about myself. But here's the interesting part. I feel like I've drifted away. In 10 years, I've drifted away and explored a lot of things. But in this season of my life, I'm coming back home, so to speak, to my essence and my upbringing and, my foundation. And I think it's beautiful because sometimes you got to lose yourself to find yourself. And I feel like that's kind of where I am right now. So it's an interesting journey that I'm on. And I'm, being a business owner right now, as you know, it's a little hard. It's teaching me a lot about myself, teaching me a lot about business. But I do know that when we weather this storm during COVID and being a Black business owner, teaching yoga of all things, it's a lot of challenges on surface with that comes with it. But like I say, it's a lot of growth that's coming along with it too. So you have to take the bitter with the sweet, the good, the bad, and the indifferent. And like I said, I think the thing that's sustaining me is you want to surround yourself with community. You want to surround yourself with supportive people, surround yourself with family. And to be honest with you, I think that's the heart of the essence of yoga, being able to bring people together with one common goal, even if you don't have a common goal. I think it was Martin Luther King said we must learn to disagree without being disagreeable. And so even in the disagreements that one may have, I think with Everybody Studios, which is the studio I own, I think that's the whole goal. We may come from different backgrounds, different sizes, different shapes, different upbringings, right? And different colors, different nationalities, but there definitely is a commonality between us all. And then I think it's just up to myself and the beautiful people that are surrounding and supporting the space. We'll try to find out where we do connect in such a divisive world. So anyway, I'm a big family guy. Community is big and important to me. I feel like if I was succeeding on my own, what's the point? You know what I mean? What's really the point? So that's a little bit about myself and the way I think about life and what I'm going through.
Yeah. Well, and I love when we met and had a conversation the first time in episode 36, you were talking about opening your studio. And now that it's open, and I went the other day and it was so cool because in the previous episode when you were on, you were talking about your vision. You're talking about how you value community, everything that you're about that you just stated. But to see it manifested a few months later was really, really cool because we all were in the studio, socially distant, COVID compliant. And it was, as a yoga teacher who's done yoga in Austin for years and years, I don't think I've ever been in such a diverse group in a yoga class until the other day in your studio. And it was really cool to see that manifestation in action. And then you showed me the mural on the wall. Would you want to talk about the mural that's on your studio?
Yeah, and I think, man, oh my gosh. So let me talk about you coming to class, and then I'll backtrack toward the mural. It was so super dope that you came to class. Surprised me. I didn't know you were that tall because the last time we spoke, obviously, was on your podcast, and we were sitting in a position such as this. But appreciate you coming to class. That's first and foremost. And as far as I know, we're going to tackle this a little bit more later. But speaking to the diversity of the class, the irony is this: it's like, to be able to see. Man, it's so surreal to be able to see what you've envision begin to manifest itself in the physical form. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And I know we put down goals and plans, but you never could imagine what it's going to look like. For instance, you mentioned the mural on the building. I think that's the dope part, is because how God's spirit, universe is blessed. It's like, I've always known I wanted to open a gym or a yoga studio or something of that nature. But who would have thought that I would be opening it in the heart of East Austin?
Yeah.
In this historic district of East Austin. And I know we can talk about that later. And it's historic space. And in addition to that, it has this big, beautiful mural along the side of the wall with at least 30 different artists, entertainers, people of color, social justice warriors. I mean, you name it, from Thurgood Marshall to Maya Angelou, Tupac even, Selena. I mean, it's so beautiful. And I think it just speaks so much to what we're doing in the space and what we want to do in the space. And to be honest with you, above all of these big time names, Whitney Houston and Beyonce and all of those people that are on the mural, there's this big phoenix on the top of it. And man, if one gets to know me, they would know that I am the definition of a phoenix. But beyond that, this neighborhood and this area, being able to, where it used to be 500 different Black-owned businesses once upon a time, and then obviously via drugs, prostitution, and violence, it swept all of that. It was a gym. It was art. It was entertainment. It was pharmacy. It was man, you name it, right? And so it was swept away by violence, prostitution, and drugs. But then obviously, ultimately, gentrification. But to be able to see this community rebirth, on the cusp of rebirthing itself, I think it speaks to the space. I think it speaks to us as individuals, and I'm just enjoying the ride. And so I have to give a shout out to Chris Rogers, who's done a lot of beautiful murals around town, and they always speak life to something. You know what I mean? There's definitely a deep meaning behind all of his work, and to be able to occupy that space. I mean, listen, I sometimes I look up to the heavens like you want me to be in charge of this? Like, how did I get? You know what I mean? But I think the reason why one is blessed with this opportunity, with this space, is because, like I said, in my heart of hearts, I really want everybody to win. And like I said, I'm a team player. And growing up in sports, deeply family rooted and oriented. And then when you think about the heart and the essence of yoga, it does mean to unify, to connect, to join together, to yoke, right? And I want this space to be just that. And you mentioned it before when you said the diversity. Man, it's so much, you already know. It's so much division going on in the world. It's so much that we can be mad at each other about, but why not create a healing space for everybody? Yeah. And especially me being a Black man doing yoga, for 10 years of doing it, yeah, I'll be honest with you, when I look back on it, I felt a little bit traumatized going into a space that just I didn't know that. You don't know what's going on in your energy body until a lot of people start speaking to that. And to be honest with you, when we last spoke, I think it was 2020, when, the Black Lives Matter movement, it was COVID, it was a whole bunch of stuff going on in 2020. I think a lot of things that were hidden came to the forefront, and then in particular with the yoga community. And I feel like, to be honest with you, in 2020, I did not have the vision to get this space at all. It kind of almost, I can't say fell in my lap, but definitely it was hanging in the atmosphere. And I took that moment to go get it. And that's another story in and of itself. But I think it just speaks to the times of 2020 and how we're transitioning out of it, and what this space can do by providing healing, diversity, and not only just diversity of the people that are coming to class, but the diverse group of teachers, the diverse group of class offerings that we have there. It's just diversity. You know what I mean? And so that's what I'm excited about. And like I said, I appreciate you coming, and it's more to come. Trust me when I tell you.
Oh yeah. Well, and I'm coming right back.
Yeah.
So there'll be more of me coming at everybody's studios. Speaking of, you touched a little bit on healing essence. You were speaking about that. What does community/unity mean to you exactly in terms of healing essence? Like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, the essence of community, the essence of healing, the art of yoga. You know what I mean? I think, first of all, it goes beyond the mat, right? So, a lot of us, first of all, when I speak yoga, by and large, for the last 10 years, I was totally misunderstood. Just because, like I said, just how I look, right? One thing that works in my favor is one thing that was my disadvantage was how I look speaking on yoga. But one thing that was my advantage was how I look speaking on yoga. You know what I'm saying? Because most people are like, okay, cool. He's a black dude. He's athletic. You know what I mean? I have men. I mean, men have been to prison, whatever. They want to come, tough guys. They want to come try yoga out now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so when I say the essence of community, the essence of yoga is like this. In this historic district, if people don't know, a lot of people in this town, in this city, have been up in arms with this community being wiped out by a lot of different things, right? And I think we need to speak to that. And so I think the thing about yoga and business at that, let's talk about being the business on the two. I not only want people to come support the business or the art of yoga, I'm big on doing a lot of outreach type of stuff too. You know what I'm saying? I want the community to know we care. I want people to know we care. In fact, when we did I called it an open house. We didn't call it a grand opening. We called it an open house because just like in school, you know how your parents, they meet the teachers and the teachers invite you into class and they tell you, you know. So that's kind of what we did for our open house, so to speak. We wanted everybody to be introduced to our beautiful teachers, diverse teachers, shake their hands, get to know them. You know what I mean? Get to know me for even. And so a lot of times when you think business owner, you're like, this person is untouchable. But it's like, nah, like, I want to be just as accessible as anybody, you know? And so when we think about community, our subtitle is a community yoga project, right? And so I would have to explain that. So a community, you can't have the word community without the word unity. That's number one. So we can call ourselves a community, we can call ourselves a neighborhood or whatever, but if there's no union or no unity within whatever sphere, whatever workplace, whatever yoga studio, whatever business, it's not a real community. You know what I mean? So that's number one, a community yoga project, a community yoga, which like I said, a union, a connection. We have to be able to connect with one another. Our mind, our body, our spirit. But how about we connect with one another too? You know what I mean? Far too often I see us go into a yoga class and we leave. We don't talk to nobody, right?
Yeah. It's sad. It's sad. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, man, we have to, and then especially during COVID, where it's social distancing, right? But I think social distancing is cool, but that doesn't mean socially disconnect from one another. We can still connect in various ways. And so a community union project or community yoga project is like this. The reason why we call it a project is because it's definitely a project. It's something that we're working on and we're going to continue to evolve. Most of the time when you say grand opening, everyone thinks, okay, the business is set, it's structured, it's as is, everything's clean. We're not moving for another 5 years. We'll revisit trying to change things for another 5 years. Nope. Every single day we want to improve. Every single day we want to meet people. Every single day we want even our students to say, hey, Chris, how about y'all change this? Or how about we do that? And notice I said we, because I want people to feel like it's their studio too. And how I'm going to run the studio is like this. I don't want it to be like I'm the owner and I tell everybody how the studio is run. I want to have monthly committee meetings, people in the community, even if you're a member of our studio or not. I want our yoga teachers, I want our members to feel like, hey, we'll have once a month meetings. And how about you guys tell us what you'd like to see? You guys tell us what's working. You guys tell us what's not working. You know what I mean? And partnering up with other yoga studios. It doesn't have to be a competition. Yes. You know what I mean? If the whole goal and the essence and the art of the yoga is for healing, mental, physical, spiritual connection, why can't we share that with other people? And I think when you think yoga, the business of yoga, it is competition. I live in this earth like, man, what's for you is for you. You know what I mean? It doesn't take away from me to uplift or edify someone else or another studio. And so a lot of things we're doing, it is a project, so to speak, because it hadn't been done. And we want to continue to build upon this thing that we're creating. So what it's looking like in day 1, day 30, day 365, it may be totally different. But that's the beauty of it, right? we're going to continue to grow and evolve just like things do in time. So that's the whole essence of Community Yoga Project. And lastly, we're going to do a community cleanup here coming up soon. We're not making money. This is a business. We're not making money off of that. It doesn't have to be about money. We want the community to know that we care. And we're going to ask volunteers so we can shake hands and high five. We got a lot of youth programs. We're working with different businesses adjacent to us and within that 78702 area code to kind of come together. And so I'll say this in closing in this part is, you see how yoga goes beyond the mat? When we think Community Yoga Project or the essence of yoga or the essence of community and healing, man, this has actually nothing to do about an asana, you know what I mean, or downward facing dog. The whole art and essence of yoga is us as human beings connecting and making this world a better place, and that's what Everybody Studios represents.
I think that's wonderful, and I love how multifaceted that answer is, and how you're talking about there's an evolving of this community yoga project, and it hasn't been done. And I talk to a lot of people about yoga all the time with the podcast, with what I do. And what I hear all the time from people is, or specifically people who no longer do yoga, they always say, I went to a yoga studio. It was really uppity. They didn't feel comfortable. They didn't feel like they belonged, and they just quit going. And I will say, having gone to your studio, you don't get any of that like uppity, like everyone just stays quiet and nobody talks to anybody and we're only here to do yoga. It is, there's a warmth there. I think there's a heart energy, a warmth energy. I don't know what that means, but there's just more of an openness, an open-endedness, and obviously community unity essence to what you're offering, and I think that's so refreshing, and I think like 2020 brought everything to the surface that was not working. And what was not working in the yoga community is this exclusive vibe, for lack of better words. And so what I really appreciate about what you're bringing into the table is the openness, the understanding that it's all about us working together, and we all can lift each other up. It's not about just one person lifting themselves up. Like we all are elevated. Not everybody gets that. So
can I speak to the can I harp on what you're saying right now?
Harp away.
If you don't mind. I know this is your podcast, so I had to ask. So that goes back to what we talked about at the beginning, being a country boy, growing up in rural East Texas. You know what I mean? A lot of roots in Louisiana, in Louisiana. And that's exactly how I envision it. It's like, I want, like when you live in the country, there's like one street, one road, right? And everybody that passes by, they're waving. You whether you know them or not, you're waving. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so even still, like there was always an open door policy. You may have 20 people at your house. You know what I mean? And so family, friends, or otherwise, and coming to a bigger city. Austin it tries to be a bigger city, but it tries. It's got to give it credit. It's trying. Yeah. But so many people are coming from all different walks of life to Austin, and that's one thing I did see, and it actually traumatized me when I first came here, because I would be on like an elevator in my apartment or something, and people would like put their head down. It's like, man, like you can speak, you know what I'm saying? And so I wanted the studio to represent, like you say, a home away from home, where people feel like, man, they could come in, kick their feet back, take the shoes off, meet people. It's like, hey, what's going on? You know what I mean? And 9 times out of 10, if I'm in class, that's exactly what you're going to get. You know what I mean? I'm going to speak to people. I hope everybody else speaks to one another. And I have we're trying to build this out. It's a community yoga class. We're trying to build it out, trying to get more people there. What I do in that class before we even start our breathing and asanas, we'll go around the room and we'll ask the question. I mean, now you feel free to answer these things, but it's more workshop based almost when we asking people, hey, how does your head feel? How does your heart feel? How does your body feel? And we give each person an opportunity to express that to the room, or we may break up into groups. We may ask questions like, hey, what's been troubling you this week? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because a lot of people don't have, one, you don't know what people are going through throughout the course of a week. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And to be able to come to a safe space, a healing space, a yoga space, to where not only you can breathe through these things, but also we may be able to talk through these things and work through these things. And a lot of people may not have people to hold space for them. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so it's encouraged to speak as much or as little, if at all, about these things, because we understand when we release, that's when the healing happens. And then once we do these talks and get to know one another and break out into group type of situations, then we can flow with that energy through the asana after that. You know what I mean? But it's not a weird energy anymore, because everybody was already in there laughing. We've probably said our highs and all of the stuff that we do. So now when you are doing a tree pose, the energy in the room is familiar, because we've already broken that ice of communicating with one another. Everybody knows your name now. Everybody's saying, hey, my name is Chris Isom. I'm from such and such, and I'm going through this today. Or, man, this happened to me that was great today. Man, that type of connection, come on now. You can't beat it with a stick. And so I hope that space continues to be that, even if we don't do those type of classes. I just hope when people walk in, they feel like, you know what, man, I feel like I belong here, you know?
Yeah. Well, what a time to introduce that into the world, because looking back at 2020, I don't care who you are, it's trauma. It was a traumatizing year. It just was. And so to be extra, and then on top of that, I've been hearing from many people, like, that year, people who thought that they had friends, they're no longer friends. So, and then even if they sustain their friendships, there's still quite an isolating factor. Mm-hmm. And so that the fact that your studio is really sensitive to that, like, it's a healing space, trauma-informed space. And then there's an emphasis of community. Everyone's been forced to be disconnected more so, for a year, so what a time, what a medicine for now. It's beautiful.
Yeah. I like it. You said, what a medicine. Wow. That was, did you make that up yourself? That was pretty good.
It came from this brain. Yeah. Okay. I created that.
I like it. I love it. And you know what, man? Like, and look, I said, you know what, man? That's that country East Texas. Sorry for saying that, though. That's just how I talk. You know what's funny is, in the space, some things that we're going to be offering. Like I say, let me talk to the diversity of classes we offer too right now, right? So we offer capoeira. We offer, which is an Afro-Brazilian martial art. It's taught by this very, very beautiful brother. His name is Etienne Badal. And I think that the beauty of the studio is, like, forget about the classes. Let's just forget about the classes right now. The teachers are super dope. You know what I mean? Just meeting the type of people that we're bringing into the space. So we got capoeira. We have a pole fitness classes, pole dancing. We have an extreme hip hop class, which is a step aerobics. We have a dance class, and we have hatha yoga, vinyasa, community yoga. So we try to keep people with a wide array of different class offerings. Another thing that we want to do is we want to have workshops, of course, but we want to have healing circles for men.
Oh,
because like, and I want to speak on that in a second. We want to have healing circles for men, healing circles for women individually, and then also collective men's healing circles and women's circles together, so we can heal. You know what I mean? Like, really truly heal. And we actually have a workshop or a men's healing circle coming up at the tail end of this month. So that's super exciting. That's on the 28th February. So if anybody, I can send you guys some links. But the beautiful part about having a men's healing circle is, I'm a man, so I can speak to this. We need some healing, Ash. And society teaches us to be tough, to take a lot. And then when it is time to open and be vulnerable, we get chastised and ridiculed for that, because now you're not strong. Now you're not this. But I want to encourage people, whether you toughen up or you don't, there's strength in both. You know what I mean? It's not
Mm-hmm.
one or the other. It's one and the other. You know what I'm saying? And so
Mm-hmm.
to be a well-balanced person, you're going to need both of those tools in your tool belt. So if we can heal as men, heal as women, and then collectively heal together, yo, we come on now. We got ourselves a good society brewing for our future generations. And I think through that healing, when our kids see us healed, come on now, it's just like that's how we really make a change in the world, by doing the work ourselves. But it takes work, and that's work that the studio, that's work that's work that you're doing right now. That's what we're willing to do, and we're willing to partner up with any business, any person, any community, any organization that has that at the forefront of their mission. You know what I mean? So that's kind of, we're gonna do it. We getting it done.
Cool. I love these plans. What tell me more about your work with kids, because I do see you on Instagram, kids in the studio. You mentioned you work with youth. Would you want to elaborate more on what that is?
Yeah, for sure. So we did, and speaking of which, we got an Isom Zone shirt right here. But it's we do Isom Zone youth camps is what we do, right? And so this summer we did, like, for 3 months we did a summer youth program, and it was teaching the importance of physical education, and not just being physically fit, but more importantly, how it teaches you how to respond to adverse situations in life. It is a teacher of life. My upbringing and my background was in sports, basketball. So in essence, having a coach most of your life,
Mm-hmm.
it teaches you how to take orders. It teaches you structure. It teaches you team dynamic. So when we talk about sports or fitness for the youth, we want to speak more so on these things. We just use sports, fitness as a medium. You know what I'm saying?
I see.
And so that's this summer. And then even now I'm partnering up with Mission Possible, which is a organization literally diagonally across the street from the studio. They have a group of 30 young kids in that area, and they need a little bit of guidance. And I've been working with youth for a while, for over 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I wanna continue to partner up and provide my services so it can speak to the greater good of the whole. In addition to that, we have our youth yoga classes that are going to be coming out here pretty soon. We had a youth gloga night at the studio. It was a glow in the dark yoga.
Oh, cool.
And so, yeah, it was dope. I think, and just trying to be creative like that to introduce our youth to movement, to breathing, to meditation, to mindfulness in a fun way. Because as sometimes they may think it's kind of boring to them, but we want to try to spice it up. But we understand that by spicing it up, we're going to be able to teach them something too in the process. So these youth programs is something that we want to do, because guess what? I don't know if you've heard, but like you said, in 2020, the school year was in a disarray. They didn't know if they were virtual, in person, and it put a lot of pressure on the parents, because the parents are left to teach, and even if they're not teaching, they have to go to work. So now the kids are left to fend for themselves. And so the goal is to provide some type of relief for the school districts, the parents, the kids in and of themselves, but collectively as a community. And so you've heard the older school people, they would always say this. They say, back in the day, when we were growing up, the community raised the children.
Mm-hmm.
If Paul or Susan got in trouble, you best believe the whole community was going to know about it, and they were going to be, everybody's going to know about it. So it was almost these checks and balances. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I think now with social distancing and social media, right, and then just the world and society is getting a little bit more spread out because it's demanding us to do so much. I think, to be honest with you, when you really think about it, Ash, for as much that's going on in the world, you're talking about politics. There's been a transition of power with the governmental system, Trump and Biden. There's been the Black Lives Matter. There's been the coronavirus. There's vaccine or no vaccine, all these things. But I don't hear in a large framework what we're doing for our youth. You know what I mean? The only thing I hear is like, are we going to school now, or is it going to be virtual learning? But man, literally like real programs and real intense concentration on our youth. The world has been talking, or then it's like joblessness, and then is it going to be a stimulus package? We talk about a lot of stuff but youth, and so we want to provide something for our youth too. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where we're going with it, and that's what we've been doing. But when you, like I said, when you really sit down and think about it, there's not a lot being done for our youth, and we're not really thinking what's they're doing for their mental health. You know, and so when we're telling them the distance from their friends, these are going to be our future leaders. So yeah, we may not see the ramification or the impact in the now. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I'm wondering what that's going to do for them. So we want to provide yoga for them, but also physical fitness, but also programs that can educate them and provide some type of structure to their lives in an unstructured world, what seems like today.
Wow. Yeah, that's a great point. Like nobody really does talk about the children, and I mean, that's a little bit disturbing, actually, that I should have known that, but I hadn't really thought about it till you brought that up.
Yeah. And of course we speak to it, but I think because the Native American proverb goes similar to this. Now I'm paraphrasing, so it goes, we didn't just inherit. How did this go? We didn't inherit the land from our forefathers. We are borrowing it from our children. So, you know, we think because we're here now, this is our world, and we do no, but we have to think we're borrowing the world from our children too. So what we do now has an impact on how when they live and when they get our age. So we kind of think about that in mind. And I think, like I say, we're so sometimes self-centered, and I know self-centered in a lot of ways could be a good thing depending on how you use it. But the self, if we go to the higher self does have the collective whole in mind. You know what I mean? So I think if we can balance that out, we'll be all right.
Yeah. So I'm curious about what advice that you would give someone who wants to start their own studio but is still on the fence. Like, what advice would you give that person?
Well, first of all, a lot of advice. You know what? I tell people all the time, when I become successful, because I'm still learning too, right?
Yeah.
I have no choice but to give back the information that was given to me. You know what I mean? And so, and that's the reason why we have a yoga studio. That's the reason why I have a movement studio, because those are the things I've been doing for a while, you know? And so I would be remiss if I did not share that knowledge. But for someone that's wanting to start a yoga studio, I would say first and foremost, obviously enjoy your own practice. You know what I mean? I wouldn't get into any business, be it yoga or anything, if you're just thinking money. You know what I mean? You have to have a passion for what it is that you're doing. And so naturally, if you've been doing yoga for a while, don't think of it as just like, man, this is a lucrative business. You know what I mean? Let's think of it at a foundational level of why you're into yoga in the first place. That's number one. Number two, I would definitely not think so much of it as a business, but more for me, this is how I'm structuring it anyway. I would think of my business as something that can actually help someone. You know what I'm saying? If we kind of have those things at our core, really at our core, truly, because most businesses or entrepreneurship, we find things in the world that needs our help and we go create that thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's what makes the business successful, if you have a heart of helping somebody. So, and I know I'm not speaking a lot on X's and O's and investments and things of that nature, but I think this is at the heart of what needs to happen. Now, keep in mind, if you want to start a business, a yoga business, you are going to need help, right? You cannot do this alone. And so when I say help, let's just think monetarily. I've had investors, you know what I mean? And don't look at it in such a way that like, I don't really want to ask. And no, share your vision with people. There are people out here that will invest time, energy, effort, and money to what it is that you are trying to do. You know what I mean? So do your research on the other yoga studios in the area, you know. Do your research on the market. All of these things, it bodes for a more well-rounded person as an individual, to understand not only the art of yoga, but also the business of yoga, right? And then therefore, if you don't have the resources and the funds, don't let that deter you. Because there's people out here, seriously, that will really find value in what it is that you're trying to do, right? And I say all that to say, a lot of the people that have been helping me along the way, first and foremost, they didn't even really see it as more of a money maker for them, even though that's part of it. They just wanted to be a part of something that was bigger than myself, themselves, and that can help people as a whole. And to be real with you guys, if I'm speaking to you, Ash, or whoever I'm speaking to, I feel like that is the most recession-proof business that you can have. If at the core of who you are is of service first, it's recession-proof. And there's a lot of big-time businesses that have, they may have a charity that they put money toward, or that's different though. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because their job is to make money, and they have enough money to help other things. But if from the core level, when we talk about yoga, really the foundational level is to help other people. From that small seed, that's when all things happen. You know what I mean? So I would encourage anybody, don't give up on your dreams. If you want to open a yoga studio, trust me when I tell you, it's needed out here in the world, especially during this pandemic, where we're talking about stress dismantles the immune system. But when you think about yoga, it actually boosts the immune system, right? Just through your breath alone. And so there's value in starting a yoga studio. Do your research, find people in a collective of people that believe in what you're doing. And in addition to that, feel free and don't feel scared to ask people for help in the form of money. And the reason why I say that is because maybe, Ash, you correct me if I'm wrong, but definitely from my experience, I know a lot of yoga teachers, instructors. I consider yoga teachers, instructors, they're kind of like artists to me. You've heard the expression like starving artists, right?
Yeah.
We do so much from our passion and out of the kindness of our heart, and we just want to help and heal and love, which is true. But I feel like on the business side of things, we feel like, I can't make yoga a business. No, it's cool. It's okay. You know what I mean? That's how you have to eat, because you can't be of service to nobody else if your tank is half empty. And a lot of times, a lot of stress comes from not having enough resources, right? And then you're giving so much to other people and you don't have anything else in return. And so what I'm saying is, it's okay to think of yoga in a business if that's what you want to do. It's okay to ask people for help when it comes to money, but be sure to share them a whole vision of what you have and how it can help other people. Never give up on your dream. Never. Because like I said, I would have never thought that I would have this studio where it is with that mural and has such a rich history. I give people a history tour every time I have them visit the studio, because the studio in and of itself is only going to stand if I tell them the value of the community as a whole. The studio by itself would not exist if it wasn't for the stories and the people in the mom and pop shops down the street. You know what I mean? And so that's where I was able to build value there. And that's just been a lot of help along the way. And that's why I say it's a constant evolution of what we're doing with the studio. Because guess what? We still could use people's help. You know what I mean? Just because I got a studio don't mean I have all the answers. Be open to learning, not just business, but just be open to learning in general. And I think that'll go a long way. And people will know when you're compassionate. People know when you care. You know what I mean? And so to anybody who want to start a yoga studio, I would say do it, especially in these times, because it is needed. And there are people that will pay you, whether it be memberships, or there's people that will pay you via investments to help you build your business, because it's definitely needed in these times. So if that's the business that you want to get in right now, it's the perfect time to get into it.
That's great advice. I love that. Hey, I feel like I want to own a studio now. What are you curious about right now? And that could be, it could be curiosity, business related, yoga related, or not at all. It could just be, what are you curious about?
Man, honestly, yeah, let's talk about the business. I'm so fascinated with business now. You know what I mean? And then because for me, one of my good gifts, look at me tooting my own horn. My mother always used to say, she'd say, she'd say, boy, if no one else would toot your horn, you got to toot your own horn, right? And so sometimes you just got to give yourself some love, right? But I think the thing that I'm intrigued by with is business now. And so, like I said, I've been doing yoga for 10 years, but before yoga, there was sports. It was basketball. I was a professional athlete. And so how my mind has shifted since doing yoga was that, which what I told you. I was just doing a lot of stuff out of the kindness of my heart. But now when we think about business, I'm like, okay, how can I uplift and edify my teachers? How can I expand and expound upon the studio? Therefore, I can have a bigger outreach, right? Mm-hmm. While generating revenue and income. You know what I'm saying? Because not only are you generating revenue and income, you have to pay your teachers, you have to pay your help. You know what I mean? And I'm interested in seeing how some of these bigger businesses have been able to do that. And when you think about the big business, I'm talking about people that companies that they're the people that work for them, they're happy. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of businesses out here and the people are, I don't want to go to work. You know what I mean? How do they become such a success? And not only that, their employees are happy too. Like, how did you do that? You know what I mean? And so I'm trying to find the perfect balance between it all. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Getting the money, paying our teachers very well, uplifting and edifying our people, because I think that's the essence of it all. And like I said, the reason why I say I'm more intrigued by business because it's teaching me a lot about myself. And a lot more, I'm not gonna say a lot more. So there's yoga for 10 years, but then it's like, okay, now what? I think business is helping me expand more now. Now I'm able to learn more. And it just so happened that my business is in that of yoga. You know what I mean? And so I'm a student of growth. And I think what I'm intrigued by is learning who I am through business and learning business in and of itself. And I'll say this, Ash, I'll be honest with you. Okay. I'm smiling right now, but I've been having to tell people lately, like, yo, I laugh and talk, but I don't play. Meaning I'm having to because I'm such a good natured person in business though, you have to set your boundaries. You have to cross your T's, dot your I's. It's no longer like, oh, I'll get it tomorrow. Nah, you got to get it now. You know what I mean? So I'm learning a lot of that right now as I go. And it's been a trial and error, but that's what's been intriguing me. And I'll listen to Black Wealth Renaissance, which is a podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you should check it out. BWR, Black Wealth Renaissance. And the other one is called Earn Your Leisure, which is another, business podcast.
Yeah.
Please. And they have a lot of great people that they interview on the podcast. So Black Wealth Renaissance and Earn Your Leisure. And those are the podcasts. I'll even listen to that when I'm working out in the gym sometimes. Just because I always want to fill my head up with some type of structure when it comes to business. Because I can't just lollygag and work out for 2 hours like I used to. I have to at least be learning something as a business owner. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of things that people don't know that I didn't know that came with business, like permits and, you got to get this. And I'm like, what? I just want to open a studio. You know what I mean? So it's stuff I'm learning. So that's what's been cool though. It's been a trial, but it's been a good trial. Just like life, it's teaching me and it's growing me, so to speak.
Yeah, cool. Well, you touched a little bit on it, the working out, listening to podcasts while working out, but how do you, as a business owner now, a business owner of a yoga studio, how do you reset personally, like at the end of a work day?
Let me tell you, there's a method to my madness. To be honest with you, I'm hiring, onboarding teachers. I'm inviting teachers to teach at the studio, our teachers, so that I can take their classes.
Hey, it cut out. I asked you the question and then you started talking and there was like no sound. So
okay, my bad.
We just start it over and then it'll probably be fine.
Okay. So that's been a method to my madness, to my self-care routine. I'm just inviting all of the dope teachers to come teach at the studio so that I can take their classes. That's been how I've been able to self-care. Because to be honest with you, in the 6 months since I've had the studio, I didn't find time for myself anymore. I felt like, and for 6 months, I had to be the primary teacher, creating this. We would do painting with the twist over there. We did a spoken word night. We're doing pop-up classes. We're doing this in the community. A lot of that was just me and a few of my team doing that, but a lot of it was I had to do a lot of work, right? Since the last time you and I talked, I got this smile on my face, but it's been a ton of work, and I didn't know how to find time for myself. I really didn't, because I'm charting a whole new territory that I've never been at before. So my downtime was like, oh, I got to do what now? People are telling me you got to do that. I'm like, what? I just want to go out in nature. You know what I'm saying? In fact, that's where I'm going. After we get out this call, I am going out in nature, by the way. But what I've realized is like, I'm doing a lot of the classes that these teachers are teaching at the studio, and that's been helping me tremendously. But what's happened is I no longer have to rely on the classes anymore, because it just helped me rebalance myself. Now, like I said, after this podcast, I'm going on my own to go in nature. It just helped me restructure and rebalance. So one thing I will say is this: nature, for me, like I said, I'm a country boy. So I grew up in nature, really. You know what I mean? And that's the one place I can go that I just feel, oh my God, I just feel so at peace. And I always said that, man, unless you're living in like Miami or somewhere, there's a hurricane, I don't know. But I just feel like nature is the one place you can go. It's not going to harm you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel at peace when I go in nature. So, and also too, taking these classes. I took one right before your podcast. Ashley, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm taking another one at 6:30 at the studio. Come join me. Yeah, I'm cheating. You know what I mean? I'm cheating. So it's almost like kind of having a free membership to a yoga studio, but not really, because it comes with so much. But yeah, that's kind of how I'm getting myself back to balance. And I'll conclude that answer with this. I tell people this all the time, and this is what I'm praying for. Man, I tell people all the time, my favorite thing to do is to travel, but it's the thing that I do the least of. I want to travel, man. I think if I can travel a little bit more, just to kind of get away from the city, because I'm doing so much, not just with the studio, but in the community. You know what I mean? I'm heavy in the community. I don't feel like I've allowed myself the time to just relieve myself of those duties, get away from the city. You know what I mean? Even the state, just so I can clear my head, so I can come back a much stronger vessel. So for the right now, I have to go to the green belt here in Austin, or I have to go take some of my classes. But I think over time, hopefully in the next few months, by the summer, I can start traveling a little bit. That's what I would really like to do.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I have not traveled in, feels like a year because of the pandemic, but I miss traveling too. And yeah, there's definitely a long list that has yet to be applied of all the places.
You got a bucket list that you still got to cross off, huh?
Oh, yes. Well, that's so good to hear that you're going to go take another yoga class and go to the Greenbelt later today. Where can people find you?
Hey, look. And girl, look. We got a website now, so been working on that, but it's www.everybodystudios with an S, ATX.com. www.everybodystudiosatx.com. You can also find us on Instagram, Everybody Studios ATX, as well as Facebook. Y'all come, and also too, you can find us at 1900 East 12th Street, Austin, Texas, 78702, in case you wanted to just pop up, right? Cool. But on the website, we got our classes, we got memberships. We got $49 per month memberships right now, which is, it's still of a deal. We're still trying to add classes to that. But yeah, $49 a month will get you unlimited classes. So y'all come check us out, y'all. We'll be there, live in the living color. And
you have a Patreon, am I correct?
You are more than correct. Yes, ma'am. it's the Isom Zone community to where we're trying to, raise more funds, to keep the studio. We're trying to weather this pandemic, first of all, at least until the summer, number one, because a lot of our classes, we do indoor classes, but we have virtual too. So, but in addition to that, our community and Patreon, it also helps with our youth programs too. You mentioned youth earlier. So it's www.patreon.com/Isom Zone community.
Okay.
And then there we got updates. If you get a certain membership level, we'll give you a free membership. It comes with perks, right? Mm-hmm. So we're still out here, still trying to raise money from the grassroots level. I just want people to know it's still an ongoing process. It's an evolution. Don't think because we've opened the doors that we got everything underway. We still need your help. We would still love for you guys to come support. I mean, and hey, if you want to come see my face, come show up to the class. I'll be there tonight at 6:30.
Great. And then we'll also link in the show notes all that information you put, but also you mentioned you have a men's group at the end of February?
Yeah, February 28th. It's a men's healing circle. So come one, come all. There'll be more details about that here coming soon. Ash, I can send you that. But it's a way for us men to come together and talk about different topics or things that are going on in our lives. And then that way we can heal together. Because I think what needs to happen is men, we do need to heal. And that's going to be February the 28th. We'll have that on the website as well as hopefully we can send a link. If this isn't posted before then, I'm sure we'll try to get you guys some type of information, but it'll be on the website. So that's February the 28th. It'll start at 3 p.m. Hopefully you guys can come and let's get some healing, shall we?
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking time out of your day to have a conversation. I love talking to you and I love everything that you're doing. And I look forward to seeing you again soon, probably at your studio.
There you go.
Well, have a good day. And we'll talk again soon.
I know. Peace.
All right. Bye.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode about yoga and the essence of a healing community with the knowledgeable Chris Isom. All of Chris's links are in the show notes, so you're just one click away from connecting with him. And may I recommend that you do. He has a great studio and a lot of really good things going on. If you liked what you heard, please share this show with your friends. And if you want us to keep going, please hit that subscribe button. Consider joining our yoga and podcast Patreon. There are great member perks such as access to 3 weekly live yin yoga classes taught by me and my kitty cats. Plus, we send you podcast stickers and a love note in the mail when you sign up. You can find out all that info in the show notes as well. If you would like to help the podcast, please leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcast. To connect with us, our email is yogaandpodcast@gmail.com. The and is spelled out YOGAAND podcast@gmail. Please follow us on Instagram. Our handle is also Yoga and Podcast. The theme song is by Ali Holder. Sound engineering, Foley art, and mixing by Bentley the Cat. Guest booking, PR, and social media by Chloe the Kitty. Remember that this podcast is for absolutely everyone. If you are a human living on planet Earth, you might benefit from listening to Yoga and Podcast. See you next week.